Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signor, and I'm so excited to talk to you about The Godfather. That's right. I went back and rewatched Part 1 and Part 2, which, guys, if you haven't yet seen The Godfathers Part 1 and 2, go check them out. I mean, this is legendary stuff. Classic films that, for me, totally held up. And I was excited because, look, Part 3 is traditionally not very well regarded. It's not one that a lot of people like. In fact, they say, don't watch it. Look, is it a great film? No. Is it as horrible as people say? Only because it's up against the other two, and it just misses a lot of opportunities. That said, there's still some good stuff about Godfather 3, and it's better than a lot of other mob movies out there. It's just a disappointment as a Godfather Part 3 finale. But I was excited because Francis Ford Coppola is out, and he's announced that he recut a version of Godfather 3 that would feature a new beginning and a new ending, and he's calling it The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. And it's available on Blu-ray and digital this December 8th. And it was exciting because he said, this is an acknowledgement of Mario and my preferred title of the film and our original intentions for what became The Godfather Part 3. For this version of the finale, I created a new beginning, an ending, and rearranged some scenes, shots, and music cues. With these changes and the restored footage and sound, to me, it is a more appropriate conclusion to The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. And I'm thankful to Paramount for allowing me to revisit it. Sadly, Mario Puzo, who wrote The Godfather, died in 1999, but this was a way for them to sort of bring this back and make The Godfather Coda, is what they call. So I was very excited. Would this fix The Godfather Part 3? And sadly, as my thumbnail and title right there proves, no. In fact, I'm kind of annoyed. I'm actually really annoyed because, look, I don't want to rub the studios the wrong way. I'm very grateful when I get early cuts, but I'm a critic, and I have to be honest with you guys. I'm never going to, overhype a movie just because I got it for free. That's not how critics work. And I've been hyping this movie even before it. If you are a huge Godfather fan, obviously check it out. The restoration is beautiful. HD is great. It looked fantastic on my TV. It really did look crystal clear. I was very impressed with the format, the look of it all. However, the re-edit, I got a big problem with. So if you don't want spoilers on that, then I guess tune out. In fact, if you don't want spoilers, I would encourage you instead, go check out this video and you can come back after you watch it. I actually made a video over on Movie World where I go through, there was a part 4 that almost got made and it almost had Leonardo DiCaprio? What? That's right. So go over there. I'll put in the iCard there. You can get out of here before I get into spoilers, or if you want to watch, I'll put it again at the end of the video. But go support Movie World, trying to launch some new, quicker versions over there of just sharing movie insight. Just movie insight, deep movie insight. So go enjoy. Now, getting into the film. Look, this got me frustrated because, look, I didn't really remember Part 3 that much. I'll be honest, I blocked it out. But I remember it was fine. And so when I watched the Coda, it's fine. If you're watching it for the first time, it's okay. And then when I went back and rewatched Part 3 just to do my due diligence before this review, to watch the original beginning and end and sort of fast forward to make sure I could see, well, how much of the cut did they really change? Well, the answers to that are this. The cuts in the middle, very minor. There is a running time difference of the Coda edition is 157 minutes, whereas the original version is 170 minutes. So you got, what's that, 14 minutes that they trimmed for the Coda, so it's a little bit shorter, which is probably not a bad thing. So hard to tell where that got trimmed. It's small little scenes because overall, the order of scenes is pretty much the same. When I went through, there's a couple minor adjustments that they made that I don't think helped the film. I don't think were needed. It's less chronological, and it didn't really help. So breaking down what they did do for the beginning and end, which is sort of the biggest adjustments they made, the beginning is literally just the scene where he's talking to the priest, where the priest is talking about his debt with Michael Corleone. That's the new opening of the film. I think slightly longer than the one that's in the original. And then it cuts to the way the film actually used to open, which was the letter to his children inviting him to the special. And instead we lose sort of those shots of the old property and stuff. So overall, that's it. They just adjusted the order and put the priest scene earlier. And that's how we meet everything. And then it goes into him reading the letter. And I think the new version is not, there's no reason why they needed to make that adjustment. It doesn't make sense. It's just not a good, the intro is not better than the original. That's problem one. Problem 2 is my bigger issue, which is the ending. The ending, if you recall, the end of Godfather 3 ends with I have a couple images here I can remind you guys. Godfather 3 ends with everyone obviously gives Sofia Coppola's Mary a lot of guff. Mary is Michael Corleone, Al Pacino's character's daughter in the film, and at the very end of the film, spoiler alert, you've been warned, she is gunned down on the steps in an attempt to get to Michael. They instead accidentally murder Mary. And look, in the film, I think it's a really solid ending. It's a good ending because it sort of shows the whole theme of the film, which is Michael. Godfather 3 is all about Michael Corleone, Al Pacino, trying to legitimize the business. And the films and the reality of it saying like, well, you can't. If you're gonna be in the Corleone business and do all the terrible things you did to Fredo, etc., you can't just get redemption. It doesn't work that way. You've been too evil. It doesn't work that way. And so there's a fitting ending and a fitting theme to it, and that part of it I do like. And so the film ends with him, crying out on the steps, and then they do some flashbacks of him with Apollina, his love from Sicily, and then with Kay in their marriage, and then with Mary, and you get to sort of see him through his life and the positive moments, but then it fades into him alone in Italy by himself, in old age makeup, clearly still alive, no one around him, and then he keels over in his chair and dies alone with some dogs around him sniffing him. And it's the same way sort of Vito went out. At least Vito had his grandson there, so it felt almost worse and more pathetic and sad for Michael. But it was sort of this ending realization of like that's how it's going to go. And you see the death of Michael Corleone, which is they tell you that in the title of the new one, which it's like spoiler alert, even though it's not really the death of him, because in this version, I've warned you, spoiler alert, I'm sorry, it's just a re-edit, and I got to tell you guys, because is it worth buying? No. The restoration is good, but my God, the ending in this is awful. It's awful. It's the same ending. So she dies, and he's screaming, and then they fade to him dancing with just Mary. They cut out the scene with Kay and Apollina. It's just him dancing with Mary, and then they cut to him, wide shot of him, old, sitting there with the dogs. You can see the glasses on. And then they cut to a close-up with him putting the glasses on. And then it fades out, and they don't show him keeling over and dying. They choose to call the Death of Michael Corleone the special edition, and they don't show him dying. So I guess it's supposed to the death inside is his mental death of how hard it's been to be a Corleone, and he never got to legitimate. And then they do this quote at the end, which I'm paraphrasing, but it's like the Italian phrase for live long and well and healthy also means that Sicilians never forget, like implying like he's sitting there. The death of him is actually him sitting there mourning the loss of his family and the fact that he never got them to respect him, and his life was in shambles near the end, and he was always a criminal, and so he has to live with that guilt forever. And I see where he's going, but to be honest, neither of them are as effective as they could have been. I think both endings are a little underwhelming, but at least this leaves us a little bit more life of just, it's a little longer on it. You get to see those memories. I don't know why he trimmed the other two memories out. You see all the memories and you see him sort of alone, and the dying is kind of pathetic and sadder than just the very quick shot of him fading out, staying there old. It doesn't work. It doesn't work as the same, and that's what you're paying for. So the difference is a weird adjusted beginning where you start with the priest instead of the letter, which to me is not as strong, and an ending where you don't even get to see him die like he did in the original one. I mean, what the hell is this? Oh, I know what it is. A cash grab. Francis Ford Coppola just wanted to make a little bit of extra cash, so they're like, hey, mate, want to put together a new cut? How much are you going to... Okay, great, cool. I don't have to get any notes. I can just go in an edit bay and have someone edit to me. Cool. Put this around. You know what? Maybe it'd be cool if we did this. Oh, yeah, whatever. Who cares? This movie sucks anyway, right? That's really what it feels like. I will say it looks better from the Blu-ray transfer, but I'm sure there are other Blu-ray transfers out there that you don't need. So overall, is this worth getting? If you are a diehard fan of The Godfather, sure, you'll want to know what they did. Maybe you'll notice a few other little minor adjustments throughout, because apparently he did change some music cues and stuff. All I will tell you is the music cues in this don't work for me. There's a couple scenes where it just it turns into a weird Diane Keaton romance movie. Al Pacino, Diane Keaton romance, of him trying to woo back Kay, and there's just moments of them laughing, and then but it's the music that just feels dated and saccharine in a way that just sort of takes me out of the movie. It's a problem. And look, the problems I have with this movie aren't even about this cut. The problems of the movie are still the fact of Where's Tom? Why did they get rid of Robert Duvall's character? Well, if you want to know, I tell you all that a bunch of interesting stuff, including Sofia Coppola. Why did he cast his daughter as some cousin screwing other cousins? There's another reason for that. There was a big named actress that was supposed to play Mary and then got ill before the filming, and he had to put someone in last minute. So he chose his daughter because he was comfortable with her. I realized when I did the history of the film and what went wrong, Robert Duvall didn't come back because of money. Clearly he smelled like, what are you doing? You're not going to pay me the same as Pacino? I'm out of here. Why am I going to waste my time and do this? And it's such a bummer because Tom Hagen would have been alive and is such an integral part of the family, and you're just missing that moment. Like, where is he? What happened? And they couldn't even figure out a way to do it. They just mentioned like, oh, here's his son who's going to go into the church. There's so many other, and Sonny had a child that wasn't the bastard child that Vincent Andy Garcia plays. And it's like, what happened to him? Instead, we get the bastard child Sonny had, which it is what it is, but Andy Garcia is by far the best part of the film, I think. He has an energy, and there's something about it. But his turn from violent to doing what Michael says, slightly unbelievable. He's clearly a hothead temper, like James Caan's Sonny in the original, and I liked that. But it's sort of the turn I didn't really believe. It's sort of fast forward, and then he gets the whole thing, and he gets the Empire. I guess that's what happens. You sort of give it away. But I would have rather seen that go south than just end with the big, long opera scene, which takes forever to get through. So overall, look, the film has its parts that are fine, but overall, there's so many missed opportunities that it's frustrating. And this new cut does not fix it by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this one. Huge missed opportunity. I don't know what you would have done unless you could have reshot things, and clearly you can't because all these people are older now. But I was hoping there was something in the bay or something that deleted scenes that they trimmed and added, and no. If anything, it's less. They take film parts away. So if you really want to see the full experience, honestly, I would go with this. And honestly, I still prefer The Godfather Part 3. It's a trilogy. It's The Godfather Part 1, The Godfather Part 2, The Godfather Part 3. It is a serial as much as Francis Ford Coppola doesn't want it to be. This Godfather Coda crap, The Death of Michael Corleone, no, terrible title. Terrible title. I understand why the studio didn't want it, and I feel like the only reason he made it is like, oh, I could finally get the title I always wanted. And it makes absolute clear why the studio made him adjust that title. First of all, The Death of Michael Corleone is just, why tell us that? Why tell us that? Sure, they misdirect us. He doesn't actually die when you think he's going to die. But it's still just like, I don't know. I don't need that in the title. And the first one's The Godfather 2, Part 2. Just as the completist in me, the collectionist person, call it Godfather Part 3. It's a better title. So overall, not a fan of this restoration. I mean, I am a fan of the restoration. It looks great, but not a fan of this re-edit. I'm curious what you guys think. If you do check it out, go check it out if you like. In the meanwhile, I want you to go check out this video because there's a lot more information about stuff that happened throughout Godfather 3, the fact that Francis Ford Coppola didn't want to make it. Go on over to Movie World. I'm going to put it at the end card here, so in just 1 second, but go check it out. Also, Godfather Part 4. What could have been? There actually was a Godfather 4 that was on deck. Paramount didn't want to pay for it. You'll learn all about it over there on the end card. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and then click that box on the left to watch Godfather Part 4, the sequel they almost made over on Movie World. Subscribe there. I'm going to try to put more movie-only content on that channel. Thanks for watching, everybody.